Hey, what's up, La Familia? You crazy football-loving nutters. This is Ray Hudson, and you are luxuriating in listening to the Inter Miami podcast with the stupefyingly magnificent Jay and Alex. Two lads who are as electrifying as a hairdryer thrown into a hot tub. Stay tuned, because you know what it's going to be. It's going to be magisterial with an amplifier.
The cross Campana! He's done it again! Taylor squares it for Victor Ulloa. It's one up. Ulloa and Taylor! Job done for Inter Miami! Led it in by Moses. What? 6! It's 2 for Miami! Damian Lowe doubles the lead! Sometimes you can just sense something wicked. This way it comes.
Hello and welcome to the Inter Miami podcast. You know, you did not turn into the wrong podcast. You're stuck with the sweet voices of myself, Brandon Griffin, and with me today I have Trav, who everybody knows and loves. Jay and Than are, still trying to find their way from the unveiling after that hurricane hit, and they're still having a little Hurricane Messi hangover. So we're here to right the ship today. So how you doing, Trav?
I'm still recovering from that hangover and, from getting my sunglasses stolen and getting shoved inside the stadium. So I'm still recovering, but, I'm here. I made it to tonight, very much unlike Jay or Than.
That's right. Yeah, man. I'm still drying out. And, had to...
I threw my shoes in the dryer and they're still not dry.
Yeah, I did the same thing. That was insane. But before we get into that excitement and all the exciting stories that we have, before we get into the fun stuff, we'll start off on a low note today. For some of us, those of us that love Indy Vassilev, maybe this is a high note. But, we did play footy this weekend. We played in St. Louis on Saturday. We got to reunite with our boy Indy Vassilev. And, we got a 3-0 shellacking from one of the best teams in the West. So, not a great start to the Tata era. But, Trav, outside of, if you want to go on a 5-minute I love Indy rant, let's hear it.
No, I mean, I love my Indy Vassilev, and... he had the game-winning assist for St. Louis, and, I may or may not take him over Messi and Busquets 10 times out of 10. He may be the most attractive man in MLS. He may have the best nickname in MLS. I'm really sad that he's in St. Louis. St. Louis barbecue is inferior to Texas barbecue. But as long as my Indy Vassilev is there, I'll suck it up and I'll eat some St. Louis barbecue.
Now, I know the listeners are wondering, were you wearing your Indy jersey yesterday or Saturday?
I plead the fifth.
Ooh. That means it was an Indy Inter Miami kit.
There actually is. There's an Indy Inter Miami kit and an Indy St. Louis kit. So I plead the fifth. I won't tell the people which one I was wearing. I was wearing one of them. Audience, oof. I'll put this out there for the Twitter people who all know me. Tell me, what kit do you think I was wearing? Do you think I was wearing the Inter Miami Indy Vassilev kit or the St. Louis Indy Vassilev kit?
That's a tough one. I personally think you were wearing the Inter Miami one. But
all right. Look at that. Brandon thinks I'm loyal.
Head to head, I think you're loyal, but I think if St. Louis plays anybody else, you're wearing the St. Louis one.
Yeah, shout out to another podcast I was a guest on last week, and I wore my Indy Vassilev St. Louis kit on that one. So, just saying, my loyalty can be bought by the good looks of a very attractive man named Indiana Vassilev.
I love it. Kind of sound like me with Lewis Morgan, man.
God, he was my first. You never forget your first, but then Indy's just Special, man. God, I can't wait for Indy to hear this, and I'm going to get a text message from him being like, dude, what the fuck?
Listen, anytime you want to come back, Indy, we'll take you.
Yeah, please do, man. Like, please. I'll put this out here, and it's going to piss Stan off when he listens to this. Robert Taylor for Indy Vasiliev, 1-for-1. Done deal.
I'd do it.
I would do it.
I'd do it. But, yep, so you've just heard us on the Inter Miami podcast for the very last time, as Stan has now killed us after he's heard this. But, you know, outside of our Indy love, what did you make of Tata's debut? What did you think?
You know, I thought it was an interesting debut. It's a game that Miami as a club didn't really seem to care about that much because of the news announced earlier in the day of the official signing of Lionel Messi, to the point that the club waited until only a few minutes before kickoff to post the lineup, and then didn't post another update until well after the match ended, and then deleted both of those last night, Sunday, July 16th. And the only reason I can assume they deleted those is because the last thing they wanted was a 3-0 loss, breaking up their Lionel Messi, Lionel Messi, Lionel Messi, Lionel Messi.
Well, see, I have a theory that last night, the holy water, which was falling down on all of us, just washed away all our pain. It's gone.
Well, let's get to Friday first and see about that. But no, I do think that, you know, Tata put out some interesting tactics. You know, Miami was playing kind of a mix of a 4-back and a 5-back. There were times where, you know, Ian Frey was pushing higher as a right back and Noah Allen was playing as a true left back. And there were other times where, you know, Ian Frey dropped in and Robert Taylor played out wide as a wing back. And it became even more interesting in the second half when Noah Allen, the left back, was subbed off for DeAndre Yedlin, who then played left back. He didn't move to right back. He played left back as Ian Frey played right back for the remainder of that match. So, you know, I think Tata is very willing to experiment, and we saw a lot of this in this match where he made a lot of halftime subs. He changed the formation at halftime, putting Campana on and putting him up top with Josef. We saw some better ideas. Ian Frey, one of my new loves, almost scored against Berkey, but Berkey's just insane and got him on the line. And, you know, we're seeing that Tata's willing to be flexible and willing to change on the fly. So, you know, that's going to be very interesting as we head into what is lovingly called the Messi Era these next, couple of seasons.
Yeah, I thought what was interesting is I thought Frey was our best attacker by far. I thought he was getting up into the great positions. He was aggressive. He was flying forward, which was kind of reminded me of when Tata had Gressel and how he used him in that it was like a hybrid role because he kind of played midfield, then he dropped back into the back line and stuff like that. So that was interesting to see, and I was shocked, kind of like you were, that Noah gave way for Yedlin. I didn't think that would happen, but you know, when the lineup came out, I remember thinking like, this has to be Tata giving some guys like a shot to see what they've got, to see if how they're gonna gel in the system. Like, who would have thought Sunderland is starting, or Robbie Robinson? I didn't have him starting. You know, I didn't even know he was back from his hamstring injury before the game. So, you know, it was interesting to see them play. Sunderland with his debut was great. Love to see the young guys getting shots. But you know, it was interesting. I think Joseph he's kind of done what he's always done this season, and he disappointed me. I thought he had a couple of good opportunities he could have converted and missed. But you know, I felt like it was almost a throwaway game. I didn't feel like we were going for the win at any point. I thought it was more about seeing how some people who have been on like kind of the outskirts of the whole of the project, how they can handle Tata's system and what they can do. And I guess time will tell if he thinks Sunderland has a spot in this team, or Robbie Robinson maybe sticks around. Who knows? But it was interesting, and I liked seeing that in a game, even though these guys had only had like a week with Tata, like the tactics evolved during the game, and like you saw changes happen that were kind of fluid, and you didn't see that under Neville, and it was cool to see, and it was like, man, we have a manager.
No, and it was, really nice to see a lot of these one-touch passes, which, if you listen to Inside Training last week, Tata very avidly talked about that to the team. He said, one-touch pass, one-touch pass. And, we saw a lot of that, especially in the first half, and even more so in the second half. Oh, and I think you make a great point about kind of giving players a chance that have been on the outskirts. Robbie Robinson, Victor Ulloa returned, Nick Marsman returned to the bench. So Tata really gave some of these guys chances that, according to more than a few reports, Nick Marsman, Victor Ulloa, Robbie Robinson, these are all players who are on the outs. They're on the outskirts of this squad, and yet they were given a chance in this match to have kind of one last show off for Tata Martino ahead of the debut of Lionel Messi, Sergio Busquets, Jordi Alba soon, and then some more U22 DP additions that are coming down the line.
Yeah, and seeing Marsman on the bench, I kind of was surprised that he started Calendar in this one, because when I saw that Marsman was dressing, I said, well, maybe Tata's going to see what Marsman has, because we know what Drake is. He's a great shot stopper. He's, he's doing a great job keeping us in games, frankly, we had no business being in the first half of the season. And, but leaves a little bit to be desired with his distribution, although that's been improving the last couple of weeks. So maybe he wanted to see what Marsman would do in his system, but not that I think Calendar should be going anywhere. He's definitely the number one, but I just expected to see CJ DeSantis on the bench, not Marsman. But yeah, so we'll see what happens. See if some of these guys made an impression. But like you said, a lot of the guys that made appearances were guys that I never thought we'd see again. I didn't think we'd see Robbie. I completely forgot Victor Ulloa was on the team for a little while. But,
no, and I mean, you make a great point about Drake. The second I heard that Nick Marsman traveled, I said, all right, Nick's starting. This is going to be his show off. All right, bro, you got one chance to show off why we pay you, $750,000 a year. And, I think that Drake probably had his worst game of the season. Mm-hmm. And, if there's ever a time that somebody like Tata Martino is going to make a change, it's right now, as he's preparing to make a bunch of changes to the squad. And I don't think that Drake Calendar is in any serious threat of that, but he definitely left the door cracked open. And, if you look at this match, Drake probably should have had the first goal. He probably should have had the third goal. He cheated way too hard behind his own wall, and Lowen absolutely called him out on it and put it, top far post. Mm-hmm. So, if Drake ever had a chance of losing his number one role, it was definitely after this match, where he left that door creaked open if a Nick Marsman or CJ Dos Santos wanted to push for that starting role.
Yeah, and I think that's, spot on. I do think we probably, if Marsman sticks around, if Tata thought he saw something and wants to keep him around, maybe we see some rotation start happening because, Drake's been our guy for every game this season. I think he's missed 2. Maybe not even. I don't even
not
remember.
even that. I think Big Dick Nick started 1 game and that's it.
Yeah. So, maybe it's a rotation thing. I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see what lineup goes out on Friday.
Yeah. And, one last thought on that St. Louis game. If you had to pick somebody, who is your standout performer from that match?
Oof. That's tough. I'm torn. I mean, I'd probably say Ian Frey. He was doing a lot of attacking. He was doing some good defending too. Like he had a, not quite a goal line clearance, but he had a couple clearances. But right behind him, and he's flying under the radars, Arroyo. Like he did a pretty solid job in the midfield. But outside of those two, I don't really think I looked at anybody and said, yeah, they're balling out tonight.
Well, my answer is quite simple, Branton. It's Indiana Vasilev. 1 assist, beautiful corner play into the area, all over the pitch in his 65-minute appearance. My man of the match.
Yeah, well, definitely great game by him. Still kills me to see him in that red Purina dog food bag. But,
listen, you can't hate on it. If you hate on it too much, I'll go change into it right now in the middle of the podcast.
Then we're going to release video.
And really
go on OnlyFans.
This will be the one OnlyFans episode, and it'll just be me changing in the middle of the show into an Indiana Vasilev St. Louis skit.
There we go.
Which I do own, by the way, for all the listeners. I do own. It's on my Twitter. Go make fun of me. I don't give a shit. They're top of the West.
If you guys aren't following him on Twitter, you're missing out because there's all sorts of good stuff on there. But, now that we've gone through the pain and pulled out whatever joy we can, now we'll change it up. We'll go into some more exciting stuff. The unveiling, the PresentaSIon, or whatever they were calling it. It was.
It was a very Inter Miami experience.
It was.
You get nice and high. And then it's like, you're not allowed to have good things. We're going to bring you right back down. And then they give you that false hope again.
Yeah. No, I know a lot of people who were there who are upset about what happened and how everything went off. But, we very clearly did not get the event the way it was planned or intended to be. And we can thank that crazy storm that came through, for everybody who goes to the stadium. If that wasn't the worst storm we've ever experienced during a rain delay, I don't know what was. This felt worse than the tropical storm game.
It's crazy to say that. We played a game in a literal tropical storm, and yet this was worse. I was at both. Yeah. This was worse than that storm, than playing a game in a literal tropical storm.
Yeah, I mean, we were kind of hunkered down, kind of near the media area, and I literally saw a catering, a rolling refrigerator below from where they had all the caterers, below 40 feet, slam into a wall, and thank God it didn't take anybody out, but it was nasty, mangled tents everywhere.
It did take somebody out. There is a TikTok video going around right now. It's been shared to me more than a few times of that said catering cart that absolutely wiping somebody out.
See, I saw the cart going and flying, and then the wind was hitting me in the face, and I couldn't see that it hit somebody, so I wasn't sure that it did. I know as soon as it happened, Joe, friend of the podcast, was walking right there, and it missed him. I think you even see him in the video, right?
Yeah, it missed Joe, but I think maybe a foot, and then truly wipes somebody out. It's a great video, by the way. I highly encourage people to go find it. I've watched it probably 100 times today and laughed my ass off.
Yeah, but that was what a way to start it, people trying to get in and that happening. And, it was just wild. I've never seen it like that. I've never seen flooding like that in the stadium. It was just crazy. But, the good part, Messi was finally out there holding our jersey, holding the heartbeat kit. And man, there's only two things that have made this whole experience feel real to me. The pictures of Messi in Publix and this. Him holding the jersey.
For me, it finally became real last night when you saw him on the field holding the jersey, speaking to the fans, and looking genuinely super happy to be there. Like, he had a smile just permanently affixed to his face for the entire event. And walked down with his kids afterwards. Thiago Messi, one of his sons, actually nutmegged him afterwards.
That was
on
awesome.
The pitch. That's a great viral video. Shout out to my friend Eric for taking that. But it's real now. It's as real as it gets. He said that he's playing on Friday against Cruz Azul. Sergio Busquets will also be playing or available for selection on Friday against Cruz Azul. So that's it. We are now in the Lionel Messi era of Inter Miami and MLS.
Yeah, and I mean, it's hard for anybody to stay smiling because, I watched the Apple broadcast back this morning, and because I wanted to see anything I had missed, and the broadcast did not do justice to how much rain was falling on the man as he's getting announced, and what's happening to the Moss brothers and Beckham and that, and to be that happy. And I didn't see anything but a smile on his face, even when I saw him get out of the car and go into the stadium. Like, the man was just so excited, and that just has me excited because, when Gonzalo showed up, like, he wasn't super happy. He wasn't excited like that.
Oh, no. I mean, if you took side-by-sides of, like, when Gonzalo got picked up from the airport by Jorge Mas to Lionel Messi arriving to DRV PNK Stadium, they're night and day. Gonzalo Higuain was a straight face, all business. Lionel Messi was as wide of a smile as you could get, happy to see all the fans, waving at fans as he entered the stadium. So, it's a really nice thing to see. And, it makes me feel like we're going to get our best version of Lionel Messi.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I feel like. It almost seemed like he's out there like no pressure. Like, he's not feeling like all this weight on him or whatnot. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see Friday. I can't wait to see what happens then. And, Busquets, flies a little bit under the radar because, everybody was there to see Messi. But he looked excited too. He looked to be in good spirits. Surprised me a bit by giving a speech in English. That was pretty cool. Just, we're here now. We're not we're not not pre-Messi Inter Miami where we're talking about 7 or 8 game losing streaks. Like, that's probably not going to happen again.
No, and, just the magnitude of an event like this. It was announced today that 3.8 billion views worldwide of this event. And, this number is likely to change. It's probably a very preliminary number. 2, it's not live broadcast. This isn't just people who tuned in live. It's people who watched on the YouTube stream, who are rewatching on, the Twitter streams and everything. So, it's a large number that is likely to change, but it shows just the worldwide massive attraction that a player like Lionel Messi has. And the eyes that it's going to bring to MLS and to Inter Miami is going to be massive for not only now, but for years to come.
Yeah, and, the stadium was, with the rain and the change in plans, they had to do an abbreviated concert after the unveil instead of before. You know, even with all that stuff, like when the Moss brothers got out there and David and they were giving their speeches, like that stadium was really electric. Like it felt like a game was going on. I mean, I don't think it was, you know, don't get me wrong, it wasn't like last year Orlando at home electric, but I'm thinking Friday's probably going to be probably the best atmosphere we've seen at Drive Pink.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And, you know, the one big thing that I will give Apple and MLS credit for and Inter Miami is although the overall broadcast wasn't the standard that a lot of us were expecting, some of the angles and shots that are coming out of this broadcast from the hundreds of different cameras, I think they had, you know, 58 cameras alone for the broadcast, and that's a sky cam that's been installed, 2 drones that were constantly flying around the stadium. And, you know, those drones led to some absolutely incredible shots of the stadium when the unveiling happened. So, major props to them. And we're going to see more of this. You know, Apple already announced that coverage for Inter Miami matches is going to be massively increased. Yeah. It's going to be enhanced by tenfold. So, you know, I really look forward to see what Apple has up their sleeve next to maximize the Lionel Messi era.
Look, there's only one thing that I think they need to do, and if you're listening, Apple, I hope you take this under consideration. We need to bring back Ray Hudson, and we got to have Dre Cordero and Ray Hudson on all Inter Miami games, with Chris Whittingham in there too. And, you know, if Kaylin Kyle wants to hang out too, bring her on. We need the original Inter Miami crew.
And Lauren Markwith.
Yes. Yep. She can handle the sideline reporter assisted by Trav.
Yeah.
That would be a great dynamic duo on the sidelines.
Oh, it would be fantastic. And then for once in his life, Trav would be tied down.
Yep. And then no longer semi-anonymous.
God, it's barely even like semi-anonymous at this point. I had people walking up to me in the tailgate and in the stadium, and they're like, "Yo, you're Trav, what's up, man?" And I'm like, "Fuck are you?"
Yeah.
Which, for everybody listening, I'm friendly in real life, I promise. You know, if you see me, please walk up to me. I'm more than happy to talk. Or if you want to punch me in the face, do that too. I mean, I say a lot of controversial, stupid shit.
Well, I wouldn't recommend that. I wouldn't recommend hitting him in the face, because chances are the rest of the pod squad's pretty close by, and that might not go over well. But, you know, yeah, you know, if you don't know what we all look like, you can head to the InterMiamiPodcast.com to check us out. We're on there. So if you see any of the hosts at the stadium, because we are always there, stop by, say hello, talk to us. We're pretty friendly. You know,
autographs are only $5, we promise.
Yeah, that's right. If you want to take a picture with us, now we're talking, you know, $7.50.
Yeah.
Or you buy us a beer and we're good.
Oh yeah, if you buy me like a shot or two, like I'll trust me, I'll do a lot more than a picture.
He'll turn over the Twitter account to you for the evening.
You buy me enough drinks and shit, you're a traveler. But you know, saying that, you know, as we look forward to the remainder of this week, you know, next is a live training session tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning. You know, we are recording this Monday night. You know, there will be a live training session broadcast on Apple. You know, it will be available for all of you, free in front of the paywall. And, you know, I think that just shows the magnitude of this. When's the last time any MLS team's training session was broadcast worldwide?
Yeah,
never. Just look at some of the legends that have played in the United States. You know, Kaká, David Villa, Andrea Pirlo, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, David Beckham. All of these guys, none of them had their, you know, first training session broadcast across the world. For Lionel Messi,
I have a feeling it won't be the only one either.
No. No chance it's going to be the only one. And,
No.
they're going big for this too. There's commentators. When's the last time you heard of a commentated training session? Like,
Yeah,
it's
never.
insane.
It really is. And, it's exciting. It's exciting to see the eyes on the team. It's exciting to see everything going down the way it is. But, man, with all that new change coming in, unfortunately, we've had to say goodbye to a couple players. Say what you want about our first DP in history, Rodolfo Pizarro, but I, for one, am wishing him well. I hope him nothing but success. It just didn't work here. It didn't work out, I know this is an audio podcast, but I have a picture of the first Inter Miami goal right next to me. And he's the one who scored it, and he's always going to have that place in our history. And, I thank him for everything he did here. And, I think a couple factors went into him not succeeding here. And I think he's reuniting with an old coach in Greece now. And I hope he balls out. I really do.
Yeah, and for those that aren't up to date, Rodolfo Pizarro has now officially signed with Greece side AEK Athens. He reunites with former Mexico manager Matias Almeida. Pizarro was Inter Miami's first DP. He scored the first goal in club history. And it really came down to, yes, he didn't perform during his time here, but Miami also had to make a choice. They had two DPs in which they had to make a decision on. And I'm not counting Gregory because he was always going to be bought down regardless of what happened this summer. But you had to choose between Rodolfo Pizarro and 22-year-old striker Leo Campana, who's performed well in his year and a half here, about which one of these DPs is more valuable for now and for the future. And it was very clearly that the answer is Leo Campana. And so that meant that Rodolfo Pizarro no longer had a place, and he was either going to be traded or bought out or do what he agreed to do, which was to mutually terminate his contract, leaving money on the table so that he could go sign with Greek side AEK Athens.
Yeah, and I think it's probably a move that worked out best for all parties. I think AEK is one of the favorites to qualify for Champions League, so that would be kind of cool to see him do that. But Rodolfo has always been a really nice guy. I've run into him a couple of times around the stadium when he wasn't playing, and he was nothing but pleasant and just a nice person. So, I have no ill will. I know there's some people who really, really have terrible opinions about him, but you won't hear that from I don't think anybody sane. I think we all understand what's happening.
No, and he was truly always a class individual, and you got to give it to him. He was dealt kind of a crappy hand here and took it in stride, and was very class, on and off the pitch for Miami, and gave his heart to the club. As much as it's good to see him go, good to see him move on, it's also sad at the same time. You wish he could have succeeded here. But you also have to feel happy
you really
that
do, and unfortunately he didn't. But we'll see what happens in Greece.
and you have to be happy that David Beckham promised him when he first arrived here. He said, "This is a stepping stone to Europe for you." Mm-hmm. And although it didn't work out in the most traditional sense, it was. Pizarro has ended up in Europe, which is what he was promised when he joined the club in 2020.
Yeah, and that's, good for him. And hopefully we see him do some good things. But, I don't think he's going to be the last one out. We have a full squad and we're bringing in quite a few people. Do you have anybody that you think may be next, or
Well,
you know.
here on Inter Miami Podcast, it's been reported that, Robbie Robinson is supposed to be on the way out. However, most recently at the beginning of July, club sources denied that pretty heavily, despite it being reported by not only the Inter Miami Podcast, but Ian Hess from the Heron Outlet, Frank Campesino from Miami Total Football. So that one's kind of in flux right now, but you have to imagine that regardless, Robbie Robinson is on his way out. There's not really a spot for him in the squad. He hasn't performed. His injury worries are a major concern. And especially as, Messi, Busquets, Alba, and some of these U22 signings we'll talk about a little bit later come in, that squad crunch gets even tighter. Victor Ulloa, Nick Marsman, both likely on the way out as well. Nick Marsman may have a chance to, creep his way back into the squad, but he costs a lot of money, and Miami needs to free up that cap space. Victor Ulloa he's played the least amount of minutes in his career this year. He didn't feature in, I think, the past 9 or 10 squads prior to this past weekend. So you have to imagine he's on the way out. And the other two names I've heard recently a lot of kind of just general stuff on is Christopher McVeigh and Harvey Neville, that both of them are not favored by this new coaching administration, and that both of them could be potentially on their way out.
Oh, the coaches have their own personnel choices to make, but that surprises me about McVeigh. Our Iron Man from last year really played every minute just about of every game, and hearing that he might be out kind of stinks, but it's a new era. Got to make room for him.
No, it kind of stinks, but at the same time, McVeigh has struggled this year. McVeigh hasn't been that Iron Man self and reliable defender that he was last year, and under Javi Morales, he didn't really play, and when he did, he had honestly quite a poor showing, and it looks like under Tata Martino, he may not get that chance either, especially as Javi Morales remains on the staff. So he's a very interesting one. Harvey Neville, love him, hate him, think that he's a Nepo baby.
Kid's got talent for sure.
Kid's got talent, but it seems like he is also on the outskirts, especially as spots on this squad start to, become a lot more scarce to come by.
Yeah, I think, I think Harvey gets a bad rap. I think he's a very talented player. He's shown in spurts that he can do some great things. I just don't think. I think sometimes Phil was probably a little hesitant to play him more when he probably could have, because he didn't want it to appear as nepotism. And then, when your dad was the old coach, I don't know that a new coach is going to want you around. But, hopefully they end up in better situations and can play week in and week out because, they were good guys and good servants to the team.
Yeah. But as we talk about potential outgoings, Miami's obviously looking to replace these players, or less of like for like, but more so bringing in depth in other areas of the squad and potential starters in other areas of the squad. Miami most recently has been linked to two talents from South America, Diego Gomez and Facundo Farias. Diego Gomez is an extremely promising 20-year-old center midfielder. He's a box-to-box 8 coming here from Libertad. And supposedly the deal for him is complete. Miami will pay about $3 million and include a 50% sell-on fee for Diego Gomez. So that's a very interesting U22 DP signing that, Miami hasn't really made to date. Emerson Rodriguez is the only U22 DP signing in club history. And now in just this window alone, and very well by the end of this week, sources have said that Diego Gomez is here in the United States. He arrived late this morning and is completing his medical and signing a contract and waiting on a visa. These are all very interesting signings that Miami is now making, since they know what the core of their team looks like and that they know that they landed a player like Lionel Messi for these guys to be around.
Yeah, and what's really exciting about these guys in my mind, and that these players coming in, is like, we all thought there were going to be more of these moves in the offseason. Like, we were all kind of hoping that there were going to be pieces in place so that Leo would just come in and be like one piece to the whole puzzle. But seeing how things have played out and how like meticulous the planning from the front office has been, like, it's really exciting to see the caliber of player that we're bringing in now, and utilizing those U22 DP spots to our advantage. And it's going to be huge, because these are going to be guys that are going to come here, play for a little bit, and probably get sold on to Europe. I mean, I forget who was. I think it was Gomez. Was somebody who was like already linked to some major clubs in Europe, and so snagging
both of
him,
these players. Diego Gomez has been heavily linked to European clubs, and Miami beat out more than a few to secure his signature. And Facundo Farias is coming off of a ACL injury that sidelined him for about 6 months, but beforehand was linked to top European sides and top Premier League sides. So for Miami to pull off a signing of the caliber of Facundo Farias, and even though it's going to cost a bit, it's going to cost about $5.5 million, and his club will retain a 20% sell-on fee. It's a great signing for Miami, and it shows just the upper tier of caliber of young players that Miami's looking to surround Lionel Messi, Sergio Busquets, and Jordi Alba with.
Yeah, and I think, there's always been like these concerns, right? Messi's coming, Busquets is coming, Alba's coming, like, they're no spring chickens, They're on the older side, and so we were always concerned with how they're going to integrate to the squad. Are they going to be able to play, 90 minutes in the South Florida heat and stuff? And I think by adding key talented players like this to surround them, you're taking some of that pressure off of them, and you're giving them the opportunity to have people that they can pass off to, that they're not trying to do it all themselves. So I'm really excited for these two. Should they both get over the line and we start seeing them play with us, I mean, and this is probably just the tip of the iceberg. Who knows what else is out there, or who else is out there who now, because of Messi, wants to come and play here and say, oh yeah, I'll play a season there, and then get sold on to Europe for big money or whatever. So it's really exciting stuff. But, with those two moves, I would expect we probably have another couple moves coming too.
I think, and from what I've heard, Miami most likely has, after Diego Gomez and Facundo Farias, about one or two more moves left. One that they've been heavily linked to is Argentine U20 national team center back Thomas Alves. However, Miami has only just begun negotiations for him this week, and he does have a release clause of about $15 million. Miami is looking for quite a bit less than that. They're looking for about half of that, as he doesn't have much senior team experience, but he is one of Argentina's most promising young center back prospects in their U20 national team. So, right now that is Miami's next big target, and if they can get a player like that over the line, it'd be a huge addition, especially if they decide to ship somebody like Christopher McVey off. It'd be, great to replace him with a, I believe, 19-year-old center back that's extremely highly rated.
Can you just imagine him and Frey in that back line with Sergey?
Man.
That would be nasty.
That makes me feel a certain way.
Man.
Imagine in like 2 years, Thomas Alves gets sold to like Tottenham for a good like 15, 20, 30, 40 million, and then Ian Frey gets sold to what I believe is the best club in Europe, Tottenham as well. They form the best center back duo Europe has ever seen. Tottenham wins the Champions League. I finally get to die happy.
Ooh. Yeah, and I wish I could say I see that happening, but
Come on, you know you do.
the scouts in me hates this.
It'll happen before Liverpool wins another Champions League.
Ooh. Well, you had your chance to make sure we didn't win another one, and you squandered that one, so...
Listen, it's only in true Tottenham fashion.
No, it's true, but the one and only Divock Origi took care of you guys, so... But anyway, before we wrap up, we've got a game coming up. You know, we've talked about how exciting it is to have Messi in the building and watching him train, but we've got his debut coming up on Friday, man. What are you expecting to see?
I think that Lionel Messi and Sergio Busquets both start. I think there's not a chance they don't. How long do they go? I think depends on the match. I think if Miami can get out and find a way to lead against Cruz Azul early, then Lionel Messi, Sergio Busquets probably come off after, maybe 60 minutes. If they don't, and if this is a, tied game heading, deeper into the second half, then potentially they go 90 minutes. And the fun part about Leagues Cup is there are no draws in the group stage. If you are all tied up at the end of regulation, you go directly to penalties. So, who doesn't want to pay, the $500 you're going to pay for a ticket to watch Lionel Messi take a penalty?
Yeah. Well, that and so I was, so focused on all the transfer news and stuff. So I finally got around to actually looking at the rules for Leagues Cup. And so really, and I think you and I were talking about it at the unveiling, really all we have to do is win one game because we're the only bracket that two teams advance to the next round.
No, in every bracket, two teams advance to the next round. First and second place.
Thanks. The Athletic got it wrong. They said we were the only one in our in the South region that advances, that has two advance.
Yeah, but winner and second place, I believe, advance. I don't watch Liga MX. I don't know much about Cruz Azul, but I do know that Messi's going to want to come out and perform real well in his debut, and I think he's going to come out and show us all what he's capable of doing. And Busquets hopefully can do the same, because when Busquets is on, that man can pass the ball like nobody's business. That one-touch passing is suited very much to his play style, so hopefully we see that. I mean, I'm not expecting everything to be perfect because we're not, we've only got, a couple of days that they've all been training together, so it's going to be growing pains, but I fully expect a good game and an electric atmosphere, and, I, like you, think that they both start. There's no way they start on the bench for their debut. Yeah, and, I agree with that, and I think that, Tata Martino will continue to experiment throughout this match and see which players mesh the best with the two of them. I think that, depending on how the match goes, we see more formation and tactical adjustments throughout the match. But at the same time, it's just as this team continues to grow and continues to learn each other, we'll see more and more of this and more of it getting refined, especially in a competition like Leagues Cup, where Tata Martino's made it very clear that Miami is going to go for it. They're going to aim to win this tournament because MLS is becoming increasingly out of reach, and they have Leagues Cup, which is a brand new, fresh, clean slate, and does have the top three teams from Leagues Cup all advance to the CONCACAF Champions League, or CONCACAF Champions Cup as it's now called.
Yeah.
And, it's a way for Miami to win silverware this season, while, their MLS hopes, seemingly begin to fade away, and as they prepare for a really tough competition in the U.S. Open Cup in their semifinal match against FC Cincinnati.
Yeah, I don't know what our chances are against Cruz Azul. I'm not super hopeful of a win. I think we probably come away with a draw, but who knows when you got somebody geared up and ready to go for their debut. Anything could really happen, and I do expect that Atlanta game on the 25th. I expect us to crush Atlanta.
Yeah,
just throwing it out there now.
I think that Atlanta side is increasingly hot and cold, and especially as throughout this transfer window, news about Thiago Almada continues to only get hotter. I think it's extremely unlikely he makes it through the end of this window by staying in the league. Atlanta had to get rid of their best young CDM because otherwise they would have been in violation of MLS roster rules. So, this is an Atlanta side that's continuing to be in a bit of transition and will probably only continue to stay in that period of transition as Thiago Almada eventually gets sold and as they look towards the future yet again.
Yeah, and let's not forget it'll be a Tata grudge match, a Joseph grudge match.
Look what happened the last time Joseph played Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. So I fully expect a Joseph Hattie coming in.
God,
who knows?
I would love a Joseph Hattie, Tata maybe take the shirt off celebration, just go absolutely wild
Rush
at Drive-In Stadium. Listen, don't give people ideas. They already rushed the gates in that one.
No. Listen, only the coaches or people there can rush the field. If anybody else rushes the field, you're taking your life in your own hands. I've seen the security measures there. It's not going to be pretty.
It's U.S. Marshals now. It's not even Guardian Security. It's the U.S. freaking Marshals.
Yeah, these guys aren't playing around. So if you're thinking of doing something stupid and you hear this, don't do it. Please don't do it.
Inter Miami podcast very much says this is a PSA. Do not rush the field. Do not do anything stupid. However, if you do, please record it and send it to us from your jail cell.
Yeah, because that's where you'll be if you make it off the field.
If you make it that far. We'll see about
those
that.
Those marshals are some big guys.
And it's about, a 15, 20-minute drive to Broward Health South. So, you got a fair bit to go.
Yeah, but listen, guys, we've got a great week ahead of us. Strap in. Enjoy it. We've got a lot of exciting things coming out this week. Some new podcast things will be happening, so stay tuned. If you're not already following us on Twitter, we're at Inter MIA Podcast at Twitter. I believe the Instagram's the same way, but the best way to stay up to all the news is A, hop in the Discord with us, and B, jump on that Inter Miami website. Inter Miami Podcast website. We post all our new shows there. We've got articles on there now, written by our very own Caden. He does a phenomenal job. A lot of great stuff there. But, Trav, you got any parting words for our audience today?
I think Brandon hit it right on the head, folks. You got to check out InterMiamiPodcast.com. We're doing some great things there. Our very own Caden DeLisa, who broke the Inter Miami to Miami, the Lionel Messi to Inter Miami signing ahead of journalists across the entire world. He's doing some fantastic stuff for some written content on the site. You can find out all about all of our offerings, Inter Miami Podcasts, Trav Chats, and more that we're doing, including live meetups in person, whether it's tailgates, soccer, live meetup, pick up soccer games, a bunch of stuff that we have coming up and planned. Check out myself on Twitter at IMCFTraveller. If you don't like something I say, please tell me. I won't listen, but you can try. And definitely join the Inter Miami Podcast Discord. It's the best place to be for all things Inter Miami. We have some amazing people in there, and it is truly a fantastic place to be.
Yep. And, you don't want to hit us up on Twitter. You don't want to be in the Discord. Tune into Trav Chats. That's your chance to talk directly to the man himself and ask questions and talk to the community as a whole. Yeah,
Trav Chats Thursday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Right on my Twitter at IMCFTraveller. We host these every week to allow you, the members of the community, to come on and share your thoughts beyond the podcast. Trav Chats are recorded and released the very next day, and they're a ton of fun. Don't call a guy in a Carolina Hurricanes jersey bud, or else you may feel the consequences. If you want to know what that's a reference from, tune into last week's Trav Chat if you haven't already.
Oh, yeah, that was a doozy. But thank you guys for listening, and guys, enjoy the moment where big things are happening, history's being made. Just enjoy it. And as we end all Inter Miami podcasts, Trav, you got to do it.
All right. Vamos, Miami.
Vamos, Miami.